In 1764, a single creature killed over 100 people in the French countryside. It hunted only at night, and when they finally caught it, they realized humanity had forgotten what truly owns the darkness tonight. We descend into the world where humans are not apex predators, where the night belongs to something else entirely. Close your eyes and imagine standing at the edge of a medieval village as the sun bleeds into the horizon. The church bells toll their final warning. Mothers pull children inside. Doors slam shut. Heavy wooden bars slide into place. This isn't superstition, this is survival. Because for 300,000 years of human existence, nightfall meant one thing: you became prey. Before electricity carved artificial suns into our streets, before walls of concrete separated us from the wild, the night belonged to creatures that could see in absolute darkness, that could smell your fear from miles away, that moved in silence through shadows we couldn't penetrate. We call them nocturnal predators. Our ancestors called them demons, monsters, death itself, but they were simply doing what evolution designed them to do: hunting the warm-blooded, slow-moving, half-blind creatures that stumbled through their domain. Tonight on Vespertine Era, we're walking into that darkness. We're going back to when humans huddled around fires not for warmth, but for survival, when eyes glowed from tree lines, when the night was a living, breathing predator. This is the story of midnight hunters and why humans were terrified of the dark, and we're about to discover what ruled the world after sunset and what still does in places where electricity hasn't. Approaches, she's 14 years old, and she never makes it home. What they find the next morning isn't just a body. It's a message. Throat torn open with surgical precision, organs exposed but not eaten, claw marks that don't match any known animal. But here's what makes investigators stop cold. The attack happened at dusk, right at that threshold moment between day and night. Over the next 3 years, something stalks the region of Gévaudan. It kills 126 people, maybe more. Peasants in remote areas simply disappear. And the pattern is always the same: attacks at twilight or dawn. Those liminal moments when day hunters retreat and night hunters emerge. Witnesses describe something impossible. Larger than any wolf, reddish fur with a dark stripe down its spine, eyes that reflect firelight like mirrors, and intelligence. Calculated, strategic intelligence. The creature avoids armed men. It targets women and children working alone. It attacks from the blind side always. It seems to understand human behavior. Human weakness. King Louis XV sends his best hunters and they fail. Professional wolf catchers arrive with decades of experience and they fail. Thousands of soldiers comb the mountains and they fail. Because this creature understands something crucial: it owns the night. And humans, for all their weapons and numbers, are daytime animals. In September 1765, a local hunter named Jean Chastel finally kills it during a twilight hunt. But when they examine the body, the mystery deepens. It's a wolf, but enormous, with anatomical abnormalities. Some historians believe it was a prehistoric direwolf hybrid, somehow surviving in isolation. But here's the part that should chill you: the attack stopped only when humans adapted. When they started hunting at night, using the predator's own tactics against it. And the beast with eyes, and those eyes haunt archaeologists because they're rendered with obsessive detail. Gleaming, watching, always staring directly at the viewer. These aren't decorative images, they're warnings, prayers, fears given form. Because here's what fossil evidence reveals: humans were not successful night animals. Our eyes need 25 minutes to fully adjust to darkness. We can't detect ultraviolet or infrared. Our night vision is worse than almost every mammalian predators. Cave bears could smell you from 3 miles away in pitch darkness. Saber-toothed cats had night vision 6 times better than ours. Dire wolves hunted in coordinated packs with tactical sophistication. And they all knew something: humans after dark are vulnerable, slow, nearly blind. But humans had one advantage: fire. And ancient hearths show continuous burning for weeks, months, years, because letting the fire go out meant death. Not from cold, from teeth, from claws, from eyes watching from beyond the light's edge. Anthropologists found something remarkable in prehistoric sites. Sleeping arrangements always formed concentric circles around fires. The strongest adults on the outside, children and elderly nearest the flames. Weapons positioned for quick access. This wasn't social hierarchy. This was fortress architecture. Every single night was a siege. And genetic analysis reveals that early humans developed psychological adaptations to nocturnal predation. That fear you feel walking alone at night, that sensation of being watched. The way darkness seems to press against you, that's not superstition, that's survival instinct. That's your DNA screaming warnings from 40,000 years ago when that fear kept you alive. Humans are adaptable, stubborn. We couldn't conquer the night. So we negotiated with it. Enter the most terrifying jobs in human history, night occupations. Medieval Europe had knocker-uppers, people paid to walk dark streets. Tapping windows with long poles to wake workers for early shifts, they carried lanterns. But those lights made them targets. Wolves entered cities regularly. Wild boar roamed streets. Packs of feral dogs, starving and desperate, and knocker-uppers had the highest mortality rate of any civilian profession. Not from human crime, from predators. Then there were the night soil men who collected human waste from city cesspits, working between midnight and dawn when streets were empty. Except streets were never truly empty. Records from 1500s. London described night soil men working in teams of 6, armed with clubs and torches. Why? Because removal routes ran through areas where wild animals still hunted foxes, certainly, but also lynx, even wolves, until the mid-1700s. And one account from 1537 describes a night soil crew finding their colleague's lantern still burning beside an overturned cart. His body was never found, just drag marks leading into an alley and tracks massive paw prints, too large for any dog. But the most haunting profession was town criers who worked the midnight watch. They walked predetermined routes, calling out the hour and weather, midnight, and all is well. Except all was not well. They were bait, human bait, drawing predators toward populated areas where armed watchmen waited in ambush. And town criers had a life expectancy of 18 months in that role. Imagine volunteering for that job. Walking alone through darkness, shouting to announce your location, knowing that something might be tracking you, that eyes might be watching from rooftops, from alleys, from the spaces between buildings, all for a few extra coins. So what made these predators so effective? Why were they so absolutely dominant after dark? Let's talk about the hunters that perfected nocturnal killing. Start with wolves. Modern wolves are cautious around humans, but their ancestors, the prehistoric dire wolves, weren't. They were larger, stronger, and crucially, they had no evolutionary fear of us. Pack hunting at night is terrifyingly efficient. Wolves don't just target toward ambush points, they communicate with subsonic frequencies humans can't hear. And they learned records from colonial America describe wolves observing human settlements for days before attacking, identifying the weak, the young, the isolated. But wolves weren't the apex night hunters. That title belongs to the big cats. European cave lions, extinct for only 14,000 years, meaning humans definitely encountered them. Could see in light levels 6 times darker than human threshold. They hunted in absolute silence, no warning, just impact. And paleontologists found human remains in cave lion dens showing tooth marks on skulls. They didn't just kill us. They hunted us deliberately. We were prey species. In India, leopards became specialized man-eaters during the colonial period. Why? Because they're perfectly adapted for nocturnal human hunting. They can climb silently, enter through windows, extract victims from sleeping groups without waking anyone else. The Panner leopard killed over 400 people between 1910 and 1980. Both hunted exclusively at night. But here's the truly unsettling part. These weren't abnormal animals. They were simply doing what leopards do, hunting the most vulnerable prey available, and we just happened to be vulnerable. 1879. Thomas Edison demonstrates the electric light bulb. Within 50 years, major cities glow like artificial suns. Humans declare victory over the night. Except, did we really win? In rural India, tigers still take people from villages at night. In parts of Africa, lions adapted to hunt humans specifically, understanding our behavior patterns, our vulnerabilities. And in North America, mountain lions are increasingly entering suburbs. Not because they're starving, because they're adapting, learning to hunt humans. In our own spaces, wildlife biologists noticed something alarming over the past 20 years. Urban predators are becoming more nocturnal. Not less. Coyotes in Los Angeles now hunt almost exclusively at night, synchronized perfectly to avoid human activity. They're learning again. That evolutionary arms race never ended. We just convinced ourselves it did because we surrounded ourselves with light. But drive 20 miles from any city, walk into the woods as the sun sets, turn off your flashlight. Feel that pressure, that ancient certainty that you're not alone. That's not paranoia, that's memory, genetic. Memory of 300,000 years when we weren't the apex predators, when the night belonged to something else. And here's the thing that should keep you awake tonight. In most of the world, it still does. The Beast of Gévaudan was finally killed 260 years ago. Dire wolves went extinct 10,000 years ago. Cave lions vanished 14,000 years before that, but evolution doesn't forget, and neither do predators. In 2019, wildlife cameras in Siberia captured something that made biologists pause. Wolves staring directly into camera lenses, motionless for minutes at a time, not reacting, just watching, learning. In 2021, leopards in India began entering homes, specifically targeting sleeping humans, ignoring easier prey. In 2023, coyotes in North American suburbs started hunting in packs again, a behavior they'd abandoned for generations. The midnight hunters never disappeared. They're still out there, adapting, evolving, waiting for the moment when our lights fail, when our walls crumble, when we become careless. Because here's the truth we keep trying to forget: the night doesn't belong to us. It never did. We just borrowed it for a century or two. So the next time you're out after dark and you feel that ancestral shiver down your spine, that certainty that something's watching from the shadows, trust it, because in the Vespertine hours, in those spaces between dusk and dawn, the rules change and we're not the hunters anymore. This is Vespertine era, where we explore the world that wakes when you sleep. If you survive this journey into the dark, prove it. Leave a comment telling us about a time you felt watched at night. Was it instinct or something more? Subscribe if you dare to venture deeper into the mysteries of the night. Because this is just the beginning. The darkness holds so many more secrets, and some of them are still hunting.